Guys, Deagle here. I'm bringing you guys another video about something that happened to me about a year ago, probably. And it's definitely something that is much more interesting than my last video. It's okay, so one time, me and my friends, we I had them over for like a party type thing, and like my mom was also having a party at the same time. Like technically I wasn't she didn't think I was partying, but I had my friends over and we were stealing alcohol from them because that's what we did back then, back in our young teenage days. That's what we did. We stole alcohol from our parents, yeah. And anyway, we were just hanging out, chilling, having a good time. And at the time, I was really, really into weed. Like, I don't really smoke it much anymore, but back then, that was my thing. Like, I loved it, okay? And I was like, guys, anyone have any weed? And they're like, nah. This one kid, one of my friends who lives down the street from me, he his dad smoked it, and he knew where his dad's stash was. So he would always, every once in a while, just steal some from his dad's stash and hope he didn't notice, and we'd smoke it. And so he's like, my dad might have some. We can run down there and look. And I'm like, all right, sure. So we just take off walking down to his house, and this kid just lives only a few blocks away from me. And we walk in there, and there's some guy passed out drunk on his floor. We don't know who this is at the time, but it's not his dad, and his dad is not there. So we're like, okay, this is weird. So we wake the guy up after kind of like fucking with him a little bit and like kicking him and shit. I know it's kind of mean, but he was a passed out drunk dude in my friend's house. So anyway, when he wakes up, we still have no idea who this guy is. And we were looking for his dad's weed, and this dude wakes up and he's like, "What are y'all doing?" And we're like, "Well, what are you doing in this house? Like, you don't ask us what we're doing here." And he's like, "Well, I'm his dad. He was my friend's dad's friend." And so we're like, "All right, cool, whatever." And this guy was pretty drunk, so he had vodka, and we were like asking, we were like, "So, you got anything?" He's like, "Oh, I got this vodka right here." And we're like, "All right." We were pretty ballsy little teenagers, all right? We weren't afraid to ask people for shit. It's kind of stupid, but also kind of ballsy at the same time. But in this case, it was definitely stupid. So he ends up giving us vodka. We still don't know who this stranger is. Like we just know he's friends with my friend's dad, and we ended up drinking a little bit of vodka. And they're like, "All right, man, we need some weed. You got any?" And he's like, "No." We're like, "Well, that sucks." I'm like, "Well, you know how to get some?" He's like, "Well, yeah, I have connections around here." We're like, "All right, we'll give you the money, and you go buy some." He's like, "All right, well, I guess we could try." So we walked down the street to this dude's other friend's house, following this random guy, sketchy ass guy, and we're like, all right, I gave him 20 bucks. I was on paying for it, of course, because like my friends were broke as shit. And so I give him 20 bucks. And he walks into this guy's house, talks to him for a little bit, and he comes out, and I was like hoping that he had the weed, but at the same time it's a little bit sketchy because this guy was some random ass guy. And he says, "Nope, he was out." So he hands us our money back. And we walk back to my friend's house with this dude, and we start talking to him, and he starts showing us porn on his phone, and we're like, okay, what the fuck? This is when it starts getting weird. This guy is creepy as fuck. So we just get out of there. We're like, alright, fuck this. We leave, go back to my house. We're a little bit drunk now, and we go back to my house and steal some more alcohol, and we ended up not getting any weed at all, right? But this dude, like, the next day, I guess he woke up sober. He told my friend's dad about it. He's like, "Well, your son and all his friends are trying to buy weed from me." And my friend's dad, of course, told my mom. And so what happened was the next day my mom was like, "So why were y'all trying to buy weed? Why'd you do this?" And I was like, "Well, I just, I gave her the truth, like any smart kid would do, I guess." And I gave her the truth. And it turns out she was like, "Well, who was this guy?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know." She asked my friend's dad who this guy was. And when he told her, she realized that this guy was a child pedophile who came down. He came from another state to like escape the police, apparently. And he came and was pretty much just living with my friend's dad. And he was a registered sex offender against children. So we were basically trying to buy weed, and we ended up getting drunk with a pedophile. And I am surprised I wasn't raped that night, and thankful for that. But I'm honestly going to be very careful about who I try to buy weed from in the future and trusting random strangers. But this was my experience buying weed from a pedophile. It's kind of a crazy title, but hope you guys enjoyed this video. Made it for you guys. And if you did, subscribe, leave a like, comment, show your friends. I don't know. Anyway, guys, stay around. Look out for new videos. Peace out.